Hello, everybody. My name is Bridget, and this is the Maven Insider. Hi, everybody. My name is Bridget, and I'm with the Maven Insider. This is our first and premiere episode of the Maven Insider. The purpose of this podcast is to provide as much insight as we possibly can to the entrepreneurial life. Entrepreneur lifestyle is not a smooth road. There's a lot of bumps along the way. We want to bring insightful people on the show who are willing to share their story, their hardships, and even their successes on everything that they've done in order to be in the position that they are in now. Entrepreneurship, everybody always talks about, I want to, be my own boss and, have my own business and have my own flexible hours. But the harsh reality is entrepreneurs don't have flexible hours. They don't have it easy in the beginning. In fact, most entrepreneurs are known to work over 80 hours a week just to make sure that the businesses can keep running successfully. Now, as most businesses, as they grow and you hire more staff, then the owners have a lot more flexibility from that point. But it doesn't come right away and it takes a long time to get there. So we want to bring professionals to you and have them share their story to you. It's not going to be specific to one industry. I am a home inspector by trade. We have a home inspection company in the New York area, in the Long Island area, and we are not going to bring only home inspectors or real estate agents or lawyers. We're going to bring a variety of different types of people onto the show and to provide as much value as we can. We hope you enjoy this ride with us. We are very excited for this opportunity and to really just be here of service and provide as much knowledge as we can. And honestly, the harsh, honest reality of what it's like to be an entrepreneur. So I felt that it was important as our premiere episode to explain my story. All right. My story is a unique story, just like everybody else. Everybody, you all have your own unique stories, and your stories is what defines the person that you become and gives you a why, right? Now, I have a big why. Just like most entrepreneurs really have that why, that it's their reason to move forward every single day. It's their motivation, and it's something that it's so powerful in successful entrepreneurs that they strive to meet and over exceed their why every day to just make their lives, maybe it's to make their lives better or whatever it is. You'll notice that everybody has a why, and some are more unique than others. So I'm going to share with you my story, and then towards the end I'll start to tell you where my story turns into my why. And to begin, it's going to begin with some back history of who I am and where I come from. To start off with, I am first generation in the United States. What does that mean? That means that nobody before me, my family, I have no ancestors from the United States. In fact, my family story is very unique. It's one of those that they could probably write a movie about it, if it just had all the pieces to put together. But to start with, I'll tell you about my dad's side. My dad's family, they're from Nova Scotia, Canada, and my grandparents migrated here when my aunt was very small, and then they started their lives in South Florida, in Coconut Creek, Florida. That's where I'm originally from. So my grandparents, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. They're one of the few people that actually left Nova Scotia from their original families, and the rest of their family still live in Nova Scotia. Beautiful area. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. My family over there, they're very nice, and it's been some time since I've been there, but we do have a big family history and family tree over there as well. Now, my grandma, she grew up on a farm. She had to wake up, feed the cows, milk the cows. I couldn't tell you everything that she did, but I know that she had a rough life on the farm. She also came from a large family. She had numerous siblings, and she was the oldest. And back in those days, she had to help her mother take care of all her siblings as well. And my grandma is very vocal about her life and where she came from. And I'm very proud of the lifestyle of my grandparents were both able to make for themselves and to grow from where they came from to where they are now. They definitely were after the American dream, and I'm proud to say that my grandparents are still around, and I have them, and I cherish every moment that I have with them. Now, as far as my mom's side, my grandfather, he is German, and he is actually Jewish German, and my grandmother is Peruvian. Odd combo, I know. But my grandfather was, as I described before, Jewish, living in Germany. And during the time when he lived in Germany, it was during the World War II. Since my family was Jewish, they were taken to the concentration camps. Most of my family died in the concentration camps. I know my great grandmother died in Auschwitz, but my grandfather was able to escape. His sister was able to get him out of Germany and get him on a boat. That boat took him to South America, which is then where my family starts. My family history starts. Well, I mean, we have a lot of family history back in Germany too, but most of my family who I'm very close with starts in South America. My grandfather landed in in Colombia. Well, not really landed, but his boat, I guess, made landfall in Colombia. And somehow, one way or another, he was able to provide for himself so much that my grandfather was able to actually become a doctor many years later. While he lived in Colombia, he met his first wife, and they had children, which was my mom's oldest sister and her two brothers. Now, for one reason or another, the marriage didn't end up working out, and my grandfather, I guess, somehow ended up in Bolivia, which is then where he met his second wife. They also had two children, my uncles, and same deal or same similar situation where that marriage didn't end up working out as well. Now, as a doctor, my grandfather traveled a lot throughout South America. My grandfather was a very intelligent man. He actually spoke 8 different languages. So he was very intelligent. And, as a doctor, he traveled a lot. Now, somehow he ended up in Peru. And that's where he met my grandmother. They got married, and my mom and my uncle were born in Peru. After some time of living in Peru, my grandfather wanted to go back to Germany and finish up his career as a doctor and retire later in Germany. So my mother and her at this point, my mom's brother and my grandmother, they all left Peru and they migrated back to Germany. So at this point, my grandmother moved to Germany without knowing German at all. In fact, my grandmother's first and only language was Spanish at this point. She did not even know English. They didn't need to know it at this point. So my grandmother was able to learn German, and they lived in Germany for a number of years. My mom's younger sister was also born in Germany as well. My mom grew up most of her, I guess you could say, childhood in Germany. My mom knows 4 languages. Her first language would be Spanish. Her second language is German, and her third language is French, and her fourth language is English. Now, some years went by after they were living in Germany, and then my grandfather retired, and then they decided to move to the United States. Once they moved to the United States, I couldn't tell you the exact age, but that's when my mom went through high school and how to learn English and all these different things, and also went to college in the United States. Um, at that point, after many years, my mom had met my father. They got married, and then I was born. Now, I'm not going to tell you my whole childhood. I'm just telling you my family's history and where we come from. And my family is a very hardworking, not was, they are a very hardworking family. My father, I consider my father to be the best salesman I've ever met. In fact, he could take a pile of crap and tell you why this is the best pile of crap and why you need to have this. That's how good he is. Um, so my father and my mother together built a business together, and they got it very big and very successful. And it took a lot of hard work. In fact, I remember as a child sitting in my parents' office. My dad made an extension off our house at the time and made an office for the business because they outgrew the small little desk in the living room. And he made an office there for my mom and for him. And I would be there as a young child helping my mom do the end of the month. The end of the month was like putting invoices together, shipping them out to all the vendors that we had, and all sorts of things. So I remember that hard work and dedication. I remember when my brother was born, how, my mom was always trying to manage everything as a mom, and as a business owner, and just trying to make sure everything was running smoothly. I remember going on different routes with my dad as well and learning the business. Now, unfortunately, as time progressed, things within the marriage did not go as well we would have liked to. After growing the business for a number of years and my parents got it very large, we had numerous employees. We even got a warehouse with a big multiple different trucks and so forth. And my parents started building houses, and they had built a very good life for all of us. However, one day, and some people who may watch this may not agree with what I'm about to say, but one day my father decided he didn't want any of this anymore. He didn't want his family. He didn't want everything my parents had worked so hard to build together. There's a lot that happened in between, and it's just too much to ever explain. And honestly, some of the things that we've encountered that I went through with my mom and my brother are in such a dark place that it's not something I ever want to revisit. But a brief, short, to the point story is my dad pretty much, left us, and he made sure to take everything with him as well. Meaning that successful business, that income that was coming from those businesses, everything was all of a sudden gone. So it put us in a very difficult position. At this time, I was later in my teens, almost an adult, and my brother was still young. And we found ourselves without a father, without any income coming in. And my mom was going through an emotional roller coaster as the guy, the man, the father, the person she thought was her best friend, who she was married to over 20 years, all of a sudden, everything was gone. But my mom stood tall and tried to protect her children as much as she could. Now, since I was older, I went into just trying to protect my mother and my brother as much as I could and do my part where I could as well. With that said, I can gladly say that my big why is I've made a devout promise to never let something like that ever happen to my mom, my brother. And now I can say that I am happily married and I have a daughter, which I will never let any of those things happen to them. Everything was taken from us. It's not about the money. In fact, the money my parents were able to grow, I could care less about that. It was the fact that everything, our house, no any type of job security, all our dreams were just taken from us. And my why was to always protect my mom and my immediate family and make sure that something like this never happens again. I won't allow my family to go without nothing again. Whether that means I have to go sell, I don't know, fortune cookies door to door and make sure that my family is provided for, then that's what I'm going to do. That's my history. And again, There's a lot of details I skipped over. But I want you to understand the type of person that I am and where I come from and what the values that I come from and what I want to provide to everybody. I have a why. I just told you my why. And it goes deep, but I don't want to go through all those details because some parts of it are just too painful. But I want to provide to everybody who watches this the knowledge of what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. And I look forward to going on this ride with everybody and sharing as much knowledge as we can and grow together. And of course, if you have questions on, maybe you have a subject that you want us to go over, we plan on doing different marketing events as well, where we go over in-depth marketing for that marketing that works for us and maybe some of the online marketing we do and so forth. We plan on just trying to provide as much as we can. But if you have a question or an inquiry or even a topic that you want us to go over, please email us. Our email is info@themaveninsider.com. And again, we are going to broadcast this and post this all over all the videos and podcasts that we have coming up. And like I said before, we look forward to getting to know everybody as much as we can, and for you guys to really get to know us and the different speakers that we bring to you guys. So I look forward to our next class. Not our next class, our next podcast. And we're going to be having Rafael Alvarez with us. And he is from ATAX, and he has built a very large and successful franchise. And we're going to talk about how he got there, what drove him to start ATAX, right? It wasn't a franchise always. So how did he get there? How did he get to that point? And we're going to hear his story and see what he has to say. And we look forward to seeing you guys the next episode. See you guys later.